Hey everyone, and welcome to ACPA Live with Leadership. And we are here with some amazing people and celebrating ACPA's 96th birthday today. So we are thrilled about that. Happy birthday. We hope all of you have cake or any kind of dessert option that best suits you, just to give us a chance to celebrate. Before we do introductions, just want to go ahead and do our ACPA land acknowledgement. And just really ground us in connecting with our mission and purpose and supporting and fostering learning through the dissemination and generation of knowledge. That we acknowledge the painful history of genocide in the United States for Native, Aboriginal, and Indigenous peoples. And we honor and respect the many and diverse tribal nations and peoples who are forcibly removed from these places, as well as those that are still connected to and still live in some of these areas. And we particularly acknowledge and recognize the land upon which our international headquarters is located today. That's long served as a site and exchange among a number of indigenous peoples, including the Akahonak, Pocomoke, Piscataway, Anacostank, Mattapanient, Pamunkey, Tahint, Natikoke, Chickahominy, Manican, Mattaponi, Nansemond, Rappahannock, and Assateague tribal nations, as well as the original occupants of the Washington, D.C. region. And I am also coming to you today from the Ohlone tribal nation in the San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California. So just grateful to have you all here today, and we hope today is full of learning and love and joy, and we're grateful for the ability to be able to do that on these lands. And so with that, just want to jump into just introductions. And also, my name is Craig Elliott. I'm currently serving as the president of ACPA, and I work at Samuel Merritt University in Oakland, California as the assistant VP for Enrollment Student Services. And Vernon, let's have you jump in.
Hey everybody, Vernon Wall, pronouns he, him, his. I'm currently the vice president and president-elect of ACPA. And I currently work with leadership as director of business development, also as president of One Better World LLC, and one of the founding faculty members of the Social Justice Training Institute.
Thank you, Vernon. And Heidi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heidi Levine, she, her, hers. In my work life, I currently serve as the vice president for student development at Simpson College in central Iowa. And I have the privilege of joining Craig and Vernon today because I am currently the vice president of the ACPA Foundation Board of Trustees.
Excellent. And my pronouns are he, him, his, and we're just grateful to have this time with you today. Just a bit about the flow for our viewers. We're going to do a little bit about kind of association and foundation updates, but then we really want to spend our good time talking about what it means to be celebrating the birthday of ACPA and the profession, and looking forward to what's possible in 100 years. So Vernon, if you jump in and take us away.
Sure. Just want to remind folks that if you have some questions for us, just submit it through the comment box and we'll make sure we address them as they come up. So you got anything, let us know. I'm going to talk about some updates from the governing board, and really just three things that we want to share at this point. And that is, the first is, you may have seen the video that went out with the illustrious Craig Elliott and myself as we talk about the new mission statement. Pretty excited about that, mainly because it talks about boldly transforming higher education. It talks about three areas in which we are known for in terms of the way that we have influenced higher education in the past, and we want to continue to do that in the future. And that is through research and scholarship, through reflective practice, and through inclusion and social justice. We really want to make sure that folks know that those are the three things that ACPA continues to be known for, and that we will continue to thrive and influence higher education in bold ways because of that. So take a look at that video if you haven't yet, and you'll see some of the things that we're thinking about. What leads that to is part of a process of us moving toward a strategic plan. And we'll be unveiling some strategic priorities that are really connected to that mission statement for the next 5 to 7 years when we're in Nashville. So those will be some of the first times that folks will see and be able to respond. We'll probably have some things ahead of time, but just for people to respond and engage. We're pretty excited about that. We've got some great board members that have been working on the process of developing the strategic plan. Both Leilani and Dean, who are on our governing board, have just done a tremendous job of leading us through the conversations to bring us to this point. I think many of you would probably agree with me that sometimes strategic planning processes are not exactly the most fun. And sometimes I've been a part of some processes where I just wanted it to end. Others I've been through processes where it's been motivating and exciting. And I will say that this process that we've been through thus far has just been engaging, exciting. People want to be on the calls and want to be a part of the conversation. So that the energy of the conversation really, in my mind, shows that we're going to have a nice product when we get to Nashville. And then the final thing is really around elections. We had over 30 people to actually apply for only 9 governing board positions. And we were just elated to know that there's that much energy and excitement around being a part of leading ACPA into the next, toward our 100-year anniversary. We're making some decisions. We've already met as a nominations and elections committee to make some slating decisions. And so we'll be voting around November 18th. So look for information on the actual elections, and we'll basically be voting until around December 6th. So, and then we'll make some announcements in January when people are back after winter break for some in terms of who will be joining us on the leadership. So just excited. Also to add to that, I think most of you know that my convention will be Long Beach, and I was so happy. I was just overjoyed that 5 people applied to be the ACPA convention chair for Long Beach, and excited that Seattle University's very own Bernie Lang is going to be the chair. So those are just a few updates for you. And I'm going to turn it over to Heidi to share some foundation updates.
Thank you, Vernon. And just have to say, I love that your convention is going to be in Long Beach, knowing your Long Beach connection from Nancy Evans' presidency when you chaired that convention. So what a perfect bookend. In the world of the foundation, we are now, as hopefully many folks know, partway through our foundation campaign to raise $500,000 over the course of our 4-year campaign. The campaign will be ending at the convention in 2021, and we are currently more than 2/3 of the way to our goal, which is tremendously exciting. And that $500,000 for this campaign is with the goal of bringing the foundation's complete holdings to $1 million. And for those who are not as familiar with the work of the foundation, know that money comes right back to support the association, both supporting the international office, but also supporting the strategic initiatives and programs of the association. So I'm thrilled at the ways that we're being able to give back to the association that I know has meant a lot in my career and to the rest of the Board of Trustees as a whole. One of our single biggest fundraisers is our annual Diamond Honoree campaign, and we have just selected the 2020 Diamond Honoree class. I am so excited about the colleagues who we will be recognizing, and watch for the announcement to roll out next week. You also probably recently saw an email that we have begun recruiting for our next group of foundation trustees. So the nominations are now remain open. And I would say that if you have already perhaps served in other leadership roles within the association and are thinking about what is another way that I can support ACPA and the tremendous work that it does, through a somewhat different avenue, and through one that is really meant on helping make sure that we have a sustainable basis for the association work that goes beyond our membership or convention registrations. Think about becoming a trustee. It is a great way to serve our association and profession. It is another amazing opportunity to be working with leaders like Vernon and Craig and Chris Moody, and to make sure that ACPA is staying vibrant well beyond, as we're moving into our 97th year and pushing on toward 100. The nomination process is really simple. Submit a letter to us talking about your leadership experiences, what you would bring to the table, why you're interested, and how you believe that your work as a trustee can be helping ACPA to achieve its strategic priorities and vision. The foundation board will be making decisions about new trustees later this academic semester, so that we can let folks know well in advance of changes in the registration for the upcoming convention, so that you can join us in Nashville this coming March. I think that is it for my foundation updates, unless either of my colleagues shows me that I'm missing anything. I'm good.
No, that was great. Thank you. And thank you both for your leadership and the updates for both your respective roles. And, I think I just want to highlight, I think it wasn't always clear to me earlier in my career about the relationship between the governing board and the foundation. And really, I want to highlight, it's such a key strategic partnership between the two. And I echo what you said, Heidi, about, to serve as a trustee is another way to deeply serve the association and ensure our continued longevity and success in that. And Vernon, I appreciate your work with the team as well, of just ensuring that we've got a plan, a clarity of plan and direction going forward, both in terms of mission, vision, and values, but also strategic direction, so that we can further solidify our purpose and our place in the profession. So grateful to you both for those updates and your work. Just want to jump in and do just a little bit about ACPA 20. We're really excited about the experience we've got planned for you in Nashville. Vernon, you mentioned it as well. It's not Long Beach, it's not the California weather, but I think it rivals that for a lot of really good things. Great music, great food. But what I love about it, just a shout out to the convention planning team and the steering team. They spent over a year so far just really crafting an experience and really trying to answer the question of how do we, now that we have this strategic imperative for racial justice and decolonization and a new mission statement that talks about practice and research and scholarship and social justice, how do we live all that? How do we bring that into our practice and our lived experience? And they've got some great things lined up that are really going to make it an exciting time for us to be together, to learn, to grow, to challenge each other, to support each other, but really what I would say, deepen our professional capacity to do the work that we want to do in the world and transform higher education. So it's exciting. I'm looking forward to being there and being a part of our association, but also the partnership that we're having with agencies, community agencies in the area to make a difference out there. So it's going to be a great experience in late February and early March. And as I say that, it's coming more quickly than what I want to realize. February is coming around the corner. Just some thoughts with that. We've got some caucusing. We've enhanced caucusing this year. We're still doing it. It's still central to the experience. It really is about deepening our capacity and ensuring that we have the skills and ability and the relationships to do the work needed to make racial justice and decolonization happen. They're expanding it. It's not just kind of expanding it into a curricular approach so that there's a deepening of levels, and they're also bringing in more specific connections to the strategic imperative, as well as some intersectional ideas, and allowing kind of a multi-identity approach to what caucusing looks like. And so it's nice, and it really will be, Vernon, we've had some other conversations about where caucusing will go in 2021 in Long Beach. And so it'll be a really nice building upon what we've done for caucusing so far, and it'll be a great handoff into what Vernon and Bernie and their team will do. Just a reminder with that, we've got the caucus facilitator applications are open. We need help. These are really important conversations, and we need people who have practice having these, and who are ready to lead in that way to help us continue to grow and deepen and learn and challenge and explore, so that we can understand what it all means. So please apply. There's information on the website. And then just the last shout out for us for when you're in Nashville, when you're coming to Nashville, please encourage you to stay in the convention hotels. We've done a lot of really good work this year to make sure to keep the hotels and the location of the convention center really closely located, to make it easy for those of us there to navigate and attend as many things as possible. But it also, as we say, as we're looking at budget years, staying in our convention hotels helps the association. And so we want to encourage you to, if you can and you have the ability, to really make a commitment to stay in the convention hotels with us, so that you can be a part of the experience and that you can continue to help ACPA move forward and continue to do our work. So, wow, that was a mouthful. And just got probably 10 minutes or so, and just want to give us an opportunity to just talk about personal reflections as we head toward 100 years. We've got 97 right here. We head toward 100. What does this mean for you two, Heidi and Vernon?
I want to piggyback on part of what Vernon talked about. Is he was talking about the association and the place that we have had in kind of that whole, in the professional association niche. Clearly, I think ACPA has been home of scholar practitioners, and we have really focused on the ways in which we have advanced knowledge in our profession, and both created, advanced, helped practitioners think about how to put that to use, and have been such an incredible leader in over the waves of looking at how we create campuses that live into what has been our vision for almost all of the time that we've been in association, to really lift up all people with their varied identities, and to be creating truly inclusive campuses. One of the other things that has always distinguished ACPA for me is that it is also a place that creates room for those of us who work across the breadth of student affairs, student services, student development related work. Part of why I found my home in ACPA was that it was a place that reflected my values, but also a place where, as I started out in residence life and then moved to counseling or into senior leadership, could find colleagues that I could talk with about those specific areas, but be connecting all the dots. And so look at my work as a psychologist or as a leader and as somebody who was advancing social justice and inclusion, and not have to leave any of that behind. And I think that that has been and remains something that is really unique about ACPA, just how fully comprehensive an association we are. And I think those three, I guess that the three-legged stool stays really stable and strong for me as I think about moving toward 100.
Yeah, I'll continue the bragging about ACPA. I mean, you got to know. I mean, okay, the history of ACPA, we were founded by women who weren't allowed in other higher education associations. That's why when some people say, ooh, this boldly transforming higher education thing, we've been doing this from the beginning. And then we
Mhm.
were the very first group, very first association to actively talk about race and racism on college and university campuses. We were the first association to talk about ability and disability in higher education. Yes, there were other associations who were focused on these areas, but we were the first comprehensive association in higher education to really start talking about that. And then, the Standing Committee for Women was one of the first standing committees, actually, in terms of founding and getting. And then GLBT issues in higher education, in terms of how we've done that. I mean, let's keep going down the list of ways in which we continue. We're not perfect. But what I love about ACPA is that we're not afraid to ask the question to get better. And to be in the mess sometimes, and in the struggle of like, ooh, we've got to navigate this today. We got to navigate this, and so that's what I'm looking forward to as we move to 100. Is that it is about the strategic imperative and conversations on decolonization and racial justice. Yes, it's bold, and that's exactly what we've been doing. We're continuing to kind of step out and say, okay, so now what's the next in this strategic imperative? How do we operationalize this on our campuses? The work of Stephen Quay and his phenomenal scholars pull together something that will be continued to talk about in graduate programs, with faculty and with students, and also too with presidents. What I think is interesting is that when we were a part of the conversation on Learning Reconsidered and Learning Reconsidered 2, I don't think we knew how many places in higher education it would touch. We didn't know at the time. And now looking back on it, to know that college presidents are having conversations about what does it mean to be what does it mean to be a part of student learning, and what does that look like? The ways that we're looking at leadership and learning now is because of Learning Reconsidered 1 and 2. And I think now, I'd say in the next 5 to 7 years, we're going to look back on the strategic imperative and go, oh my God, we're now giving people some language in order to really have some great conversations, which will move toward then some operational things. So we're just at the beginning. We're in the infancy stages of this conversation, and we're going to continue to be in that space.
But you're right, Vernon, that we really have been leaders in moving into those spaces before. And perhaps you can't be the one to bring this up, but I think about the impact that Beyond Tolerance and Toward Acceptance had in lifting up and giving us a different way to think about how we really create space that is welcoming, inclusive, growth enhancing for our initially gay, lesbian, and bisexual students, and then Growth Edge, thinking about and what are the needs of our transgender students, and how do we create campus spaces that are, again, welcoming, healthy, inclusive, growth enhancing for our transgender students and colleagues. And I truly think that work shaped and changed not only the association, but I think it has changed the profession. And I think that the same thing is going to be true as we look back at the strategic imperative for racial justice and decolonization, that we again are going to be pushing those conversations in ways that will reshape our profession. And again, as you said, not perfectly, because we're humans, so we don't do anything perfectly, but it's in our own growing and learning that we are helping to create those spaces that encourage growing and learning.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned too thank you, Heidi, thank you. And I'm glad that we mentioned the outward focus too, because a lot of times, and the inward focus, because sometimes we just focus on what we can do for students in order for students to be successful. But ACPA allows us to do the inward conversation, because a quick Beyond Tolerance story. Kathy O'Bear wrote the chapter on homophobia and heterosexism. And I remember the first reviews we got back from on the chapters, one reviewer said, this chapter on homophobia is really angry. And I'm like, of course it is, because homophobia and heterosexism is not exactly but it was about educating, our colleagues around how do we want to have this conversation in the future? So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, all of this, the transformative power about raising these issues and having these difficult, deeper conversations that we need to have. It makes me think about how I learned to practice student affairs 25 years ago is so radically different than how we practice student affairs these days. And so I think about so I have these markers along my 25 years in the profession that really that are these really shifting moments, and these are part of them. And I think about it's exciting to me to continue to be a part of that, this inward and outward focus. It's not just about the work we do giving out for others, but it's also about how I can become a better professional on our campus, how I can help create and shape environments where students of all backgrounds and identities can come and thrive and learn. How do we, and this for me is really the joy of the excitement about transforming higher education, that our work is not just about fixing the status quo and make it better, but this is about making a deep and systemic change to make a difference and to continue to do that. So yeah, it's exciting just to think about that in the context of it all. Awesome. So any other thoughts, any other parting thoughts before we go? We're about at time. So maybe a good summary moment for us before we close.
Well, I'll just plug ACPA 2021 one more time in Long Beach, because the applications are now out for folks to join the convention planning team. So if you look for that email, if you feel that you want to join us in just providing a wonderful experience for our members in Long Beach, just join us if you can. And I'm excited for Nashville because the show Nashville was my guilty pleasure when it was on, and for me to now go to the Bluebird Cafe, I mean, Raina James still lives in my heart. So I'm excited.
Yes, and not Nashville, Long Beach, 2021 will be 40th anniversary of my participation in ACPA.
Wow.
Pretty thing. I know, like it's a little scary to think that. But so excited for that, and to still be a part of making my professional home the best home that it possibly can be.
Excellent. And yeah, I'm just thank you all. Grateful for the great work that's happening all across the association, in all of our leadership spaces, and some of which was highlighted here by you both. And I'm just excited about the year and a half ahead. As we march forward, and looking forward to seeing everybody in Long Beach, in Nashville, and so many of our professional development experiences, and just thrilled to be a part of this group with you all. So thanks so much on behalf of Heidi and Vernon and myself and everybody at the ACPA International Office. We are happy to be with you today celebrating ACPA's birthday. Have a great day and a great week ahead, and looking forward to hearing from you all about the great work that you're doing. Have a great day.
Bye all. Thanks, Craig.